Hey everybody, Dale here. Today we're going to talk about two fantastic tents. We're going to compare, we're going to contrast them. I'm going to show you the best way to set up your tent, and then we're going to cover the ground cloth that goes underneath the tent. It's not needed, but it's an added little bit of benefit. These tents are usually your most expensive investment in your hiking gear list. We're going to break down each one and show you why I decided to go with my favorite Zpacks DuplexL tent, and why I went with the Zpacks Duplex Zip tent. Hey everybody, welcome back. My name's Dale. Today we're going to go over two of my favorite tents. The tent that I was originally planning to go on my Appalachian Trail through hike, the Zpacks DuplexL tent. It's a fantastic tent, and there's only slight modifications that they came out with that really turned me over the edge to go with the Zpacks DuplexL Zip tent. Today we're going to go how to set up your tent. I'm going to explain how to create a really taut setup. We're going to explain some of the features of the tents and why I went with the Zpacks Zip tent versus the DuplexL tent. It's all a matter of preference, and you can decide which one you prefer. Okay, let's start out with some dimensions. First of all, the DuplexL fits up to a 7-foot tall hiker. It's pretty big. It's a lot of room. Now, that'd be pretty tight for somebody 7 foot, but I'm 6'2", a little bit over. I fit plenty of myself, my sleeping system, and my backpack inside the tent with me. It calls for, it says that it's a 2-person tent. It'd be pretty snug. You could fit 2 people in there, but just that's about it. Now the Duplex weighs in at 20.8 ounces. That's the DuplexL, 20.8 ounces. The Duplex Zip, the DuplexL Zip, weighs in at 23.6 ounces. It has the same dimensions on it, but it does have some additional features. Let's go over those. It does have some additional features. Let's explain those a little bit. Here I have set up both the DuplexL and the DuplexL Zip tents by Zpacks. Let's go over some of the differences between the two. Obviously, the first one that stands out is the zipper that goes down the storm doors. Not only is there a new zipper, but also, if you can see here, it does have a ridge vent. That'll cut down on a little bit of condensation and give you a little bit more breathability to the tent. Another addition that Zpacks made for the storm doors is this magnetic catch. This magnetic holds open the storm doors and props them out of your way. It's a pretty easy fix. Whereas on the DuplexL, it has toggles on the storm doors to prop it open. Both tents boast an 8-inch bathtub. Right now it seems like the tent is sitting up off the ground. As soon as you put some weight in there and stuff, that the bathtub floor will sink down to the ground. No problem there. The 8 inches of bathtub creates a situation where the water and rainwater doesn't flow down into the tub. Okay, here is everything that you need to set up your Zpacks Duplex tent. The setup is the same for the Zpacks Duplex, the DuplexL, the Duplex Zip, or the DuplexL Zip. It's all the same. You need your tent, your trekking poles, and 8 ground stakes. Now, as you can see, I have it all set up on top of a Tyvek tarp. Now, Tyvek ground sheet is not needed for this tent. The bathtub floor is thick enough where you don't necessarily need it. But I think that there are several uses that I'll be using when I go on my Appalachian Trail hike, whether that's laying it down inside of a shelter or many other reasons. But I have it set up on a ground sheet, and at the end of the video we're going to cover how to trim your ground sheet to fit your tent and why. Here are my stakes that I'll be using. These are the MSR Groundhog stakes. They come in at 0.46 ounces, which is super light. I love these stakes because they have a little bit of a spiral, and this is Florida country where all the ground is sand, and I can put these stakes in the ground at a slight angle and they don't pull up at all. So I can create that tight, taut tent without sacrificing the strength of the stakes. So these are the MSR Groundhog stakes. and you need 8 of them. The next thing you need is going to be your trekking poles. Now I have the Black Diamond Ergo cork handled trekking poles, and the reason why I like these trekking poles is they're actually taller than most trekking poles that you can find. But the manufacturer suggests that you raise your tent poles to 122 centimeters. I like to go a little bit higher, so I'm right at around 124 centimeters, and that takes into consideration the tips of your spikes, the spiked end of your trekking poles sinking into the ground. Okay, one of the things that I want to go over with you real quick, skipping ahead just a little bit, is how to pack your tent inside the bag. One of the things I like about the Zpacks tent is it comes with a stuff sack that has plenty of room to fit your tent inside the bag. Now, one of the things that I dislike about certain companies, they make their stuff sacks so small that it's impossible to get things back into it once you take them out. That's not the case with a Zpacks tent. When you roll up your tent, what you're seeing is the outside of the bathtub floor. That's where all the sand and debris and leaves and stuff like that are going to be. So when you roll it up, you want to tuck the top of the tent down inside the bathtub floor, and then when you roll it out, all of that debris and stuff like that is going to be on the outside of the tent and not getting all your inside of your tent or your top of your tent dirty and nasty. Okay, now I'm going to demonstrate how to set up that nice taut tent for Zpacks. First thing you're going to do is you're going to place your trekking poles on either side of your ground cloth. Then you're going to take your tent stakes and you're going to place them out 4 at the corners. You place them 45 degrees to the corners of your ground sheet. Then 1 on either side for the doors, and 1 on either end for the struts that prop up the bathtub floor. Okay, let's set up your tent. First we're going to roll it out. You're always going to know that the struts are going to be at the ends of your tent. The doors will be opposite your struts. Give it a shake. Lay it on down. Now we're going to start staking out our 4 corners. So now we have all 4 corners staked out. The next is setting up your trekking poles. First, you unzip the storm doors. You find the cup. Place the top of the trekking poles with the end of your handle facing the middle of the tent. Really sink that down into the ground so that's why you extended it past the 122 centimeters. Now we're going to stake out one side. Now what you're looking for is your trekking pole to be straight up and down, maybe bent, maybe angled in just a slight hair, because these are all going to be pulled taut at the end. I'll go through and make sure all of your tent stakes are staked down. Okay, your storm door is equipped with 2 little hooks. Place that underneath the tent ridge line. Place the hook over one side. And the storm door on the other side. Pull the zipper down. Now we're going to stake out the struts on the bottom of, or on the ends of your tents. This is what's going to keep the structure and give you a little bit more headroom at the bottom of your tent. Okay, this is a basic setup of a duplex tent. You want the ridgeline to have no folds or no wrinkles. It's a fairly taut tent without putting too much strain on the guy lines and the tent stakes. This is the ideal placement of your tent. Now let's talk about your ground sheet. Okay, let's talk about your ground sheet. One of the features on this tent, and you have a lot of questions, is how do you keep water from running into your bathtub floor? Well, if you notice on this tent, the outer part of the tent overhangs the bathtub floor by about 4 to 5 inches. That sheds water away from your bathtub floor. Now we want to trim our ground sheet to be inside of this part right here so that water doesn't come down here and then run under your tent, because let's face it, we're not always setting up our tents in level places. So you want to cut your ground cloth up underneath the outer portion of the tent so that the rain runs underneath the ground sheet and not on top of it, where it'll puddle and, soak through. It won't soak through the Tyvek, but we don't want to take any chances if we have any holes in the Tyvek from sticks or debris. We don't want to take that chance. So we're going to mark our tent all the way around, and then we're going to cut the Tyvek to fit our tent. So the Tyvek that I have comes from Zpacks, and it's measured by 5 foot by 9 foot long, and the tent is slightly shorter than that. So we're going to cut the Tyvek to fit. Now, if you also listen, if you can hear that, that's so annoying, and it's going to be annoying sleeping. And if you bring your Tyvek into a shelter, it's going to be super annoying to anybody around you. The way to cut down on that is we're going to take this Tyvek, run it 3 or 4 times through the washing machine, and it'll break down the noise factor of the Tyvek without compromising the permeability of it. So here we go. We're going to mark this off. And then we'll do that all the way around, and then we'll cut our Tyvek to the rough shape. Okay, here you have the Tyvek ground sheet cut to the proper dimensions to fit under the Zpacks DuplexL tent. You can barely see it poking out from either side, staying underneath the outside covering so that it does not, go past that. So rainwater will shed away from your ground sheet. Now, what I used to cut that with is just a straight edge, a couple of spring clamps on either end of the straight edge, and a really sharp razor blade. So there you have it. That is my setup video of the Zpacks DuplexL Zip and the regular DuplexL tent. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to add them in the comments below. I'm going to add links to both tents and everything used inside this video. Please follow along. The next video is going to be the full gear list as I prepare for my Appalachian Trail 2024 northbound thru hike. Now, let's talk about a couple of other uses for the Tyvek. So I've seen a lot of videos where hikers will write on the Tyvek with big Sharpie markers and big bold letters that says on one side, hiker to town, and then on the other side, hiker back to trail. This tells the community that, A, you're an Appalachian Trail thru hiker and you're not just, somebody that is to be feared or anything to that nature. And the other advantage to that is that it's very visible in low light conditions or anything like that. It tells people that you need a ride into town. And sometimes it'll be a hitchhike, and other times it'll let your shuttle driver know who you are. Anyway, just an added note.